Broadcasting from Detroit's Cass Corridor, it's the Metro on WDET. I'm Robin Vincent.
And I'm Tia Graham. Today on the show, Detroit is home of Motown, cars, and techno. It's also the epicenter of black hair innovation.
We'll sit down with a hairstylist for Beyoncé and wig engineer to explore why the city holds the crown as the world's black hair capital.
Also, Detroit's heat wave highlights more than weather. It spotlights social inequality.
A sociologist discusses why community ties are crucial during deadly heat.
And mayoral candidate Jonathan Barlow sees Detroit's potential through a tech-savvy lens. Will voters embrace his bold vision or stick with familiar paths?
But first, the night skies over Tehran have been flashing with fire since Israeli jets began piercing Iranian airspace. They've been targeting nuclear facilities that Israel insists pose an imminent threat. Hundreds have been killed in Iran and thousands injured. Iran has responded by firing missiles into Israel, where at least 24 have been killed. Last night, an American-brokered ceasefire was announced, but that seems to have fallen apart this morning, with reports of Israeli and Iranian airstrikes coming after the announcement. President Trump's post to social media this morning demanded Israel's compliance. Meanwhile, the world has been watching anxiously. That anxiety grew Saturday when President Trump escalated the conflict, deploying American B-2 bombers and launching Tomahawk missiles in an aggressive campaign. The president has openly hinted at regime change. Iran responded by striking an American airbase in Qatar, home to thousands of U.S. troops. Diplomacy now teeters on a knife edge as fears of broader conflict intensify. And these fears are held among many in Metro Detroit, especially among the hundreds of thousands of Arab and Middle Eastern residents here. Many have been watching violence and conflict erupt across the region, and it brings back painful memories of the wars that forced them to leave their homes and flee to the U.S. in the first place. Some analysts say this latest move by Israel is an attempt to entirely reshape the Middle East, which is stoking further tension and anxiety among people in the diaspora here. To help us understand this moment, we're joined by Fariba Pajou. She's an Iranian-American scholar of communication and media studies at Wayne State University. She spent years working as a journalist in the Middle East covering conflicts. Some of that coverage led to her imprisonment by Iranian authorities. Fariba, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to start on a personal note if we could. Could you describe your reaction when Israel began attacking Iran? I realize you have family and friends there.
Yes, definitely I have friends and family in Tehran, actually, the city that I was born and raised in. And also I can say a lot of people are asking me, do you have any family member in Iran? And I can say yes, about 92 million of them. They are all my people and they are all Iranian. On top of that, my close family and my relatives were living in Tehran, and they were under attack actually in their neighborhood in west and northeast Tehran, and now they forced to leave their homes, and they were to other cities to just save their lives with their kids, and so it was a hard time for us to manage that.
And last week, Fariba, you were preoccupied with an effort to get your grandfather out of Tehran.
Yes, because my grandfather is like about 93, 94 years old, and he was living in northeast Tehran, and it was difficult for him to leave. 94 years old, it was difficult to manage that. Happened to rent a car. Everyone were leaving Tehran. when people got the tweet that everyone have to evacuate Tehran now, so people got panicked. A lot of people, left, and it was difficult to have access to a car. So finding people driving, rent a car, find a car, and then so managing that was super difficult. My grandpa, I called him. He's aware, but he's old, but he is aware, and he was kind of crying and telling me that it's going to be the last time I'm hearing your voice, and it was very difficult and emotional situation for us. And finally, it happened. Finally, he is safe out of Tehran, somewhere in another city.
I'm so glad to hear that he's safe.
Thank you.
This has me wondering, being really far away from your home country and from a lot of community when war breaks out and you're forced to watch it from far away, how difficult that must be. Could you talk about what that's like?
It is frustrating. You feel hopeless, loneliness. You feel that you cannot do anything. It's like about being very angry, and it's like, imagine you are sitting somewhere in your home and somebody is shooting to your home, and some another enemies like just closed your hands, and you can see in front of your eyes your home is destroying, and you cannot do anything. Just you can. It's, I think, as human being, everyone, you can just put your feet on my shoes and feel how I was feeling. With that example, I just tried to make it simple and tell you how it was difficult for me to see. And then if my voice is a little bit Greek, because I was crying so loud in last 12 days. This is what I've done.
Thank you for sharing your voice on the airwaves with us. Given it's going out a little bit, that it's hoarse, we appreciate hearing from you. And I wonder what the Iranian diaspora looks like here. Do you feel that you have enough support, enough people to commiserate with?
I can say, the people that I've been in touch in Detroit area, like most of them were Wayne State University grad students, and which I am almost done with my PhD at Wayne State. So they have families in different cities in Iran, and they were all worried about their friends and family and the Iranian people. Some of my friends, and they were like in touch, and they sent me messages, and but I think I needed more. We needed more. I don't call it attention, some kind of more about acknowledgement about the situation. Yes. So, but yeah, I'm super happy to see that this morning. I saw that it's a ceasefires happening, which is kind of a hope for everyone, including myself.
Sure. Have you found community with people from other Middle Eastern nations who've experienced the same types of conflicts and war in their countries at the hands of, say, Israel or the U.S.? I mean, I'm thinking about Iraqis and Lebanese people, for example, who can relate with this. Yes, there's fighting and violence, then there's a ceasefire, then it's back to fighting and more violence.
Yes, actually, it is. It's like kind of a similar story. What that happened in last 12 days in between Iran and Israel, which has happened. It was very similar to what happened before Iraq war for me, and also some of I really would like to answer the questions that I got from many people in the community. They asked me that, like, people in Iran might be, frustrated from the government, or they did some uprising against the government. Or like myself, I've been in prison as a journalist in Iran, twice actually. And so why people are not doing uprising against the government inside Iran? I understand their question, but to answer that, I want to say, like, people, as I said, often confuse the idea of wanting change with accepting foreign military action. These are two very different things. Supporting democracy, freedom, and reform means supporting the people's right to decide their future, not supporting bombs falling on cities. So the missiles, the Netanyahu's missile on Iran is not about giving them freedom. It's about escalating conflict, and history shows that foreign attack usually cause more chaos, not democracy. I just mentioned about the history. It is what happened. Look at the Afghanistan, Iraq, and Libya, and Vietnam. So as we saw, democracy didn't deliver by force in all the countries that I've mentioned. I've covered the wars. I've been in Afghanistan for 3 years, and I've been in Iraq just 6 months after the
invasion, the American-led invasion. Fariba,
and I know what I'm talking about. Yes.
Forgive me for jumping in
Sure,
here,
of
but
course.
because we are running out of time, I want to make sure that we can talk a little bit about your imprisonment and also about media repression. And I do want to just reiterate one thing, though. What you're saying here is that this is a brutal regime in Iran, and many people, including yourself, would like to see regime change, but you don't want to see it at the hands of Israeli military intervention.
Yes.
Okay.
I believe people of Iran deserve democracy and freedom and change, but a real change cannot come through foreign military attack, missiles, or bombs.
Let's talk about media repression in Iran, but also I do want to also talk about the narratives here in the U.S. and how those are shaping our understanding of war. So first, let's again acknowledge you were imprisoned by Iranian authorities for your journalism. How has that experience influenced your understanding of conflicts in Iran and also what's happening there right now?
This war was illegal and based on international law. An Israeli attack on Iran was illegal. And this was an illegal war the Israel Prime Minister Netanyahu started against Iran. However, who lead Iran to this point is Iranian supreme leader and Iranian government. And this is what we tried in Iran to, including myself, in all more than 20 years that I worked as a journalist in Iran, to make some reform, to cover the uprising of people inside Iran. He is responsible about the situation that we are in right now. I mean, I'm talking as an Iranian. If talking about international law, as I said, it's another story. But me as a journalist, I just was covering 2009, the uprising of people in Green Movement, if you remember. Then they just arrested me and they called me that you are doing propaganda against regime that they charged me actually with that. And I never do. I just was doing my work as a journalist. I was covering that Green Movement in Iran.
My question to you, I'm wondering how you think, based on everything you're telling me right now, do Iranians have a clear understanding of what is happening given the kind of media repression that there is in the country?
We in Iran, all the media kind of almost is under the eyes of the government. So, well, there are still social media. People have access to X or Twitter or Facebook or other social media using VPN, but still there is a pressure from the government, and the media and journalists are working under pressure inside Iran. And I just want to salute them from here, how brave they are working and doing their job as a journalist inside Iran under that pressure.
Inside Iran, under not only the eyes of a brutal regime, but during war. So, yes, I think that's very important to acknowledge. Fariba, I wish we could talk longer, but we are running out of time here. Sure. So the one more thing I think that is important to address, what would you say, whether it is culturally, emotionally, or socially, about this crisis, do you think is being overlooked or misunderstood by the international community or by Americans more specifically?
I think, yes, it is misunderstood, and mainstream media, I am a witness of how mainstream media, American mainstream media, covered the Afghanistan war or Iraq war while I was doing the same thing in there. And it is some mainstream media in the U.S. they don't know like how, and also decision makers, they don't know the differences between countries in Middle East. They don't know the culture. They are not aware about. So I think they need to educate themselves if they want to cover. I have to say that I never comment, after 10 years living in the U.S., I never comment about politics in the U.S. because still I'm new, I'm trying to educate myself. This is the way that some media and experts and policymakers, they have to educate themselves. And it was a little bit misunderstanding in the U.S. Media.
Fariba Paju is an Iranian-American scholar of communication and media studies at Wayne State University. She spent years working as a journalist in the Middle East, covering conflicts. Fariba, thank you so much for joining us on The Metro today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you so much.
As you just heard, we've been speaking with people who are impacted by the ongoing attacks between Israel, the U.S., and Iran. Tomorrow, we'll hear from a rabbi from West Bloomfield who runs a Zionist congregation about his perspective on the fighting. Coming up, many in this country who are descendants of enslaved people don't know their family's full history. To celebrate Juneteenth, a genealogist at Wayne State is trying to change that. We'll hear more about those efforts next. This is The Metro on WDET. Stay with us.